since we last podcasted, I have updated the top 25 and won at least once. And my most recent move was to push North Carolina, the Tar Heels, into the rankings at number 26 in version 8.0, based on the fact that RJ Davis and Armando Bacot will presumably now be joined in the starting lineup by three high major transfers: Harrison Ingram from Stanford, Jalen Withers, Louisville, Cormac Ryan, Notre Dame. Deadleg, I'm kind of believing in North Carolina again.
Why?
Can you get there with me?
Well, I don't know if I can get there with you at this stage. I don't know.
Doesn't that sound like a pretty, just in theory, like a pretty nice starting lineup?
It sounds okay. But I'll pause mine. Tell me who you bumped and why you decided to put, aside from, your classic clickbaiting ways. Why did you decide to put, like, Harrison Ingram's inclusion was enough for you to boot? Who did you boot out, and why are you thinking this is justifiable?
They got Ryan and Ingram, in a 2 or 3 day span in between me updating the top 25 and one. And when they did that on top of the Withers thing, I just looked at the projected starting lineup and was like, that should be a good team. I don't know. Last season's team should have been a good team. I hear you. I understand. But on paper, I look at that starting lineup and I go, it's experienced. They've got two undeniably awesome guys in RJ Davis and Armando Bacot. Harrison Ingram can theoretically be your third best player. That's a nice role for him. I think Ryan can be a reliable shooter, but he's only 35% for his career. Withers shot above 40% from three this past season. Ingram is what he is: 10.5 points, 5.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists. A guy who was on NBA draft radars coming out of high school. That's dimmed a little bit, but still, if he can be your third best player, that should suggest that you should be a pretty good team. I would hesitate to say I bumped any. I didn't punish Missouri. It's just somebody got knocked out, but it was pushed down is I think a more polite way to say it.
Booted them out of the party.
If you're going to take North Carolina and put them in at 26, whoever was 26 has to go to what amounts to 27, and that would be Missouri. I thought about putting North Carolina even higher, but then I don't think I could rationalize it because I've got Mississippi State at 25, and I have Mississippi State set to return the top 5 scorers from a team that was better than North Carolina this past season. So I kept Mississippi State ahead of Carolina, but I did get Carolina in, and I genuinely believe that this is going to be one of the can be one of the 26 or so best teams in the country. I like the roster. I like what they've done through the portal. They're now going to be old. They're going to have shooting. They've got legitimate guys at every position in the starting lineup. I like it on paper. Whether I like it on a court, we'll see, but I like it on paper.
If all players are healthy, is it conceivable that UNC gets its act together, not only makes the tournament, but is on the 6 or 7 line or better? That's conceivable. Certainly, if you put them, in the 26th spot overall, that equates to being a 7 seed. I could see that. Here are the stats on them. Each of the, the starting 5, because I think this will be. I would think this will be UNC starting 5. It'll be Bacot, Davis, Withers, Ryan, Ingram. Ingram averaged 10.5 points, 5.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists. Shot 41% last season. Like solid, not great, but solid on Stanford. Jalen Withers, 8.9 points, 5.3 rebounds. He's a 6'9" with some shooting range. Again, on a bad team. Who did we just talk about? Who got the best player on Louisville? And we were like, well, what does that mean? That was on last week's episode. Who am I blanking?
It was L. Ellis.
Yeah, L. Ellis, exactly. So, what applies to one should probably apply to another there. So we'll see. And then Ryan at Notre Dame averaged 12.3 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. He also shot 41%. Bacot and Davis will be the engine, the spirit of the team, as they should. They combined last year to average 32 points. And if you can believe it, almost 16 boards between the two of them, two very different players. I'm all in on RJ Davis. I always have been. I've watched that dude in 30 different games over the past 2 seasons come up with big shots and make good plays in big moments. Sometimes those shots and those moments didn't wind up leading to North Carolina victories for one reason or another. his shooting averages are actually lower than I would anticipate, given how good he's been often in the clutch. We'll see. Off the bench, you're going to have some combination of guys who will need to step up. I mean, Jalen Washington, 2.2 points per game. Seth Trimble, who's going to be a sophomore, he took 44 shots total last season. How much run will he get? How big of a jump will he be able to make? DeMarco Dunn, 2.7 points per game. They're bringing in Paxton Wojcik, another transfer from Brown. He started his career at Loyola Chicago. He's a 6'5" shooting guard, 38% three-point shooter. He will definitely get minutes next season. Question is, will UNC be a team that is, a 7-deep roster, a 9-deep roster? We'll see. The impact of the freshman is to be determined. They've got a point guard coming in, Simeon Wiltshire, who's a top 40 prospect. They've got a power forward named Zayden High, who's a top 60 prospect, who I frankly don't expect to get a lot of run. UNC was 20-13 last season, had the number 51 offense and number 46 defense at KenPom. I'm suspicious of this, honestly. The players could wind up, making a difference, but they also are coming from 14-19 Stanford, 11-21 Notre Dame, and 4-28 Louisville. So you are bringing in 3 players that wanted to improve their situations and circumstances, but they were all on bad teams. Not to say that they are bad players. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are 3 players that are coming from unhappy environments, going into an environment that was as in disarray, not as in disarray, but from the power conference perspective, no team was as much of a week over week story about will they get it together, will they not? Just the noise and volume and whirring and buzzing around UNC. We'll see if this concoction works, GP. I could change my mind by the time I have to do my master ranking, the top 101 teams in October that I do each year. Right now, I don't think I would put North Carolina top 30, which isn't to say I won't change my mind. I could, and they could grow into that, but I got to see it. Like last season was detrimental and weird enough that I just got to see how this concoction works. And I got to see like Trimble and Washington. Like I got to see these guys. It can't just be, they cannot be a team that doesn't have a bet. They cannot do that again. This cannot be Ingram, Withers, Ryan, Davis, Baycott cannot be your iron 5. That cannot be the approach there. Hubert Davis had a solid first season that went to a magical run to the title game. And then year 2 was all over the place. Year 3, there's enough out there that I can't give him the benefit of the doubt just yet. There's some intrigue there. Baycott coming back is huge. He will be a preseason All-American as he should be, but I disagree with you on putting them in the rankings as of version 8.0 on April 25th.
Yeah, it's reasonable. I will say that when I had to write the comment for it, it was difficult because most of these comments are like, Creighton is expected to bring back 3 starters from a team that did this good thing and that good thing and that good thing. And it's like Purdue is expected to bring back 6 of the top 7 whatevers from a team that won the Big Ten in the Big Ten tournament and was a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. It's like this ranking is based on this team bringing back people from a team that did nice things this past season. I got to North Carolina. It was like, oh, wow, this is going to be challenging. It was like this ranking is based on the Tar Heels returning 2 of the top 3 scorers from a team that, I think this is actually what I put, spent much of the season in the top 30 at KenPom. I didn't know what to do.
That is reaching. Because it's also not like, I understand that. Like, some of that was preseason priors. UNC was not a top 30 team last season. We all agree on that. On balance, really, at the end of it, let me see where they wound up at KenPom.
43, I think.
Yeah, 40. I was about to say they were not a top 40 team on balance. So there is a lot of that. And by the way, there's still Carolina has 1 or 2 open scholarships still, so the work is not done. Like, they're going to add at least another transfer. We'll see how much impact that transfer will or won't be. It's an interesting spot overall. I get it. Like, I do get it, but I think more people than, especially after the noise with all this, I think that's where you might have been going on this. UNC just, I understand why a lot of people got sick of UNC. I get it, and I don't disagree. At least we've got some intrigue here, and like Baycott coming back, I think is frankly, it's not just a great thing for UNC, but for the ACC and for college basketball. And his self-deprecation, posting the photo of Perry Ellis after he announced he was coming back. Like, I love all of that stuff, and I think Davis really might be. I think Davis and Baycott could get to the level where they are both All-American type players, top 20 players in the sport. Baycott's already there. Davis is capable of it. The cast around him, though, Let's see how 3 different kinds of players, yes, they have talent, but they are coming from bad situations, how they integrate. And I'm projecting them to start. Maybe that changes once we get to preseason stuff, but to just harp on this again, maybe it'll be Wojcik, but like at least one of Washington, Trimble, Dunn, like at least one of those guys has to step up in a major way. At least one, ideally 2 of the 3 wind up being major contributors there, but there's work to be done. And obviously the skeptics are out, and they're out there in abundance on Hubert Davis right now.
Yeah, like I guess I'd bottom line it this way. I like the starting lineup on paper, and they have other transfers, 2 top 60 freshmen, and other players within the program. And out of that collection of guys, you need 3 of them to be quality role players. Can they be? I think so. I'm betting that they can. But, I've lost bets before. Let's move on.